Good afternoon, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. And this afternoon, we are going to look at a breaking story coming from the Jamaica Observer, which suggests here that Britain would consider lifting regime. Now, it means lifting visa restrictions. We know that Jamaicans before 2003 could travel to Britain, to the UK, visa-free. However, because of our bad behaviors, according to the British High Command or Commander, we understand that they had to remove the visa-free policy, and they imposed upon us visas where we had to apply for visas to enter Great Britain, even though the Queen or the King now is the official head of state of Jamaica. Make that make sense that the King is the official head of state of Jamaica. We are a constitutional monarchy, yet we have to have visas imposed upon us because of whatever Britain says is our bad behavior. But let's go into the news, all right? This is not just the propaganda that you hear coming from many of our Jamaican podcasters. British High Commissioner, is not commander, but commissioner to Jamaica, Judith Slater, says, while the vast majority of Jamaicans applying for visas to the United Kingdom are successful, consideration would be given to removing the requirement entirely if individuals would refrain from overstaying and causing difficulties. Speaking with the Jamaica Observer on Monday ahead of her end of tour departure in mid-September, Slater, the first woman to serve as Britain's top diplomat here, said the visa requirement has been the thorn in the side of the bilateral relationship between Kingston and London. So that should be, yes, a thorn because of the visa restrictions, so it would limit what bilateral agreements that Britain and Jamaica could establish. There were a lot of people overstaying and causing difficulties for the UK at the time when the regime was introduced in 2003. So this is something that is under review. It will be reviewed again. And of course, nothing would make me happier than for there to be not a visa, or for there not to be a visa requirement, because it makes the flow of people back and forth even easier. But the vast majority of Jamaicans who apply for a visa do get one, he's saying, and it would be great if the people who overstayed, who were sort of spoiling it for the rest of them back in 2003, if we could be assured that that wouldn't happen, then consideration would be given to lifting the visa regime, she told the Observer. Now, this is interesting because the United Kingdom should ensure that her laws are maintained and upheld. The United States, where people overstay their time there also, they ensure that the laws are kept and the laws are maintained. So if Jamaicans overstay their time, they can be deported. So that is what Britain needs to do. They should not be suggesting that because there's people who have overstayed their time, it means therefore that you should have lifted the visa-free policy that you had before. Let's be clear here that Britain was a former colonizer and slave-holding country, and Jamaica was primarily the wealthiest colony in their empire for many years, if not decades, if not centuries. We were the primary colony that brought them the huge majority of their wealth. They must understand that. And not only did that happen, not only is that factual, but they ended up leaving us without anything. Britain left us dry with the coffers, nothing to build the country. And they had not built infrastructure there because they didn't settle there. Many of their citizens did not settle in Jamaica. Jamaica was an outpost. It was an absentee plantation. And Britain was able to yield lots of money, loads of wealth on the backs of peoples of African descent. And I hope that the High Commissioner is reading her history, understands her history, and is able to understand that had they not caused hell and created hell in Jamaica, then perhaps Britain would not have been facing such a plight of having many Jamaicans participating in the drug trafficking trade. And as I mentioned now, the drug trafficking trade, let me segue into this, that Britain is also involved at the highest level than Americans in the drug trafficking trade. And they're using Jamaicans at the lower end of society as mules, okay? And this is slavery 2.0. So they are not particularly, should I say, innocent. The UK government is not innocent. And they are, and the Americans are at the root cause of the problems we're facing with drug trafficking and gun trafficking right now as we speak. So if they now demand that in Britain, for example, the demand for drugs and in America begin to dwindle and there's no market for it, then they would not have had that system. If Britain decides also to proffer the real reparations to Jamaicans by building hospitals, by building schools, which they did not build prior to leaving. And if they built any, maybe there were just a few, because as far as we know, most of the schools were church-owned schools. The British did not even believe in educating the masses of Jamaicans. The British did not believe in that because they knew that there would not have been any cutters of wood and hewers of water. Is it hewers of wood and drawers of water? That's what I should say when I'm saying that. So that is what I should have said. There would not have anybody, there would not have been anybody to undertake working on the sugar plantations, right? And to do the manual labors, the menial manual labors that the British would not have wanted to do. So this is when they're telling us that Jamaicans were behaving badly, we can see that the British government and its people behaved badly when they endorsed slavery and colonialism, and they stole our precious resources, particularly our human resources from us, and then left us dry without anything. And that is why our people sought some sort of sustenance, some sort of survival in Britain, in the UK. It's not because you're particularly special. It's because that you have stolen a huge part of our wealth. And you have abused and exploited our people, our ancestors, and their descendants are still having to grapple with the levels of exploitation. Not that we are not responsible also for some of our predicament, but Britain is the root cause. What we're seeing in Jamaica's corrupt government and the corrupt system of governance is a symptom of the problem, because the root cause was laid by Britain. And, to add insult to injury, when British Empire fell after World War II, they handed over Jamaica to the United States. So we are a part of that great imperium. So don't let them fool you about, having this constitutional reform and they're going to remove the king as head of state and there will be a Jamaican president and they will be free because we're a republic. We'd be a republic by name or in name, but not in substance. A republic in name, but not in substance. Hope you're understanding what I'm suggesting here. Okay? So don't be fooled by them telling you that they are about to remove the king as head of state and they're going to put you into a republic. That will never happen. Okay? The United States is not even currently a republic. It's a military dictatorship. So what do you expect? And we live under their jurisdiction. They tell us how to run the show, and we run it that way, which means the exclusion of a large segment of our society, an economic and political exclusion. And that is why we're seeing the voter apathy in Jamaica, because they realize that no matter what government comes to Jamaica House, things remain the same. The more they change, the more they remain the same. No better barrel, no better herring. That is what Jamaicans have realized, and intelligently so, and justifiably so. Okay, but we tend to look at superficial, and we tend to look at what the academics at UE are saying, and we think that they're speaking the truth. And we have all these experts and these talk show hosts who are not telling you the truth. They're telling you what you want to hear, or because you so respect them and you think that they are experts because they have a title before their names and they've attended certain universities, you think that they're telling you the truth. All right. So this is what I wanted to present to you, that the visa, according to her, she's now outgoing. So it means, therefore, that she can say anything she wants to say. Okay. She noted that the Jamaican government has made numerous approaches to have the requirement lifted. So this is something the government looks at, and it's under fairly constant review. Every few years, there is a very detailed review of the countries for which we have a visa regime. We recently imposed one on Trinidad, for example. It is something that is looked at, but there is certain criteria to be met. There's a certain criteria, or there are certain criteria. It shouldn't be there is certain criteria. There are certain, because the criterion is singular and criteria is plural. So there are certain criteria to be met, the diplomat said. Okay, so that was a grammatical error by the diplomat. But the fact of the matter is that we are seeing that this could also be another achievement in Andrew Holness's basket of achievements. If this happens, should this happen before the general election, which I doubt it will, because as she's suggesting, or she suggested onward into the article, the current government of the UK is not particularly happy with what is happening, in terms of moving this forward. So we don't know. The previous government, yes, it seems that they were getting some form of headway in terms of removing the visa restrictions from Jamaicans. But this government seems to be, assessing it, and doesn't seem to be that enthusiastic about removing such visa restrictions. And you could know why, because Britain is not strong economically right now. Nothing in the US is strong economically. So the fewer people that they can get to come into their country, the better for the UK. So this is not necessarily going to be happening anytime soon. But if it does happen, I think that this would be a great political achievement by Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, right? And this is one of the achievements that he'll put into his basket of over 256 political achievements. So this is a big win again for Dr. Andrew Michael Holness. And, what can we say? He's been working. Está trabajando. We can't say that our Prime Minister is not working, can we? Okay, so that is what I wanted to share with you this afternoon. I hope that I'll be able to publish it soon. So please the sooner you like the videos and you respond to them and let the videos move, the more, because there are lots of things happening that I'd like to share with you. But if you don't like the videos up, if you don't share them, then a lot of things are going to attack you, and which will be unknown to you, unawares, and you are going to be caught off guard. Don't think the world you're living in is this real world and it's going to improve and there's going to be a revolution, and there will be revolutions, but it's not going to be in your favor, because already the elites are controlling everything. And even the revolutions, they will be at the helm of. Just read the French Revolution and you will see that the people ultimately didn't really win, as history likes to tell us. Okay, that was a brutal revolution, and no country would like to see the reiteration of anything the nature of the French Revolution. But I think we're heading there. Unfortunately, I think we're heading to another French-like revolution, only that it will be globally, and many of us will die and suffer because of the blunders. And I wouldn't say blunders, I would say the deliberations and the engineered policies of our global government. Very important that you understand that. But Jamaicans, I'm sure, will be happy if the visa restrictions are removed and they can get into their United Kingdom to go to Buckingham Palace and to see the King, King Charles III, right? And to be among your British family, right? After all, she is also a motherland, isn't she? Even though Africa is the real motherland in terms of our genetic makeup, but Britain likewise is our motherland, right? She is, because she was the one who nurtured us, gave us our language and the government system and the educational system. So we can't bite the hand that feeds us and the woman that gave us birth. Can we? Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you'd like, share, and subscribe. Like the videos so the videos can be shared with as many people on the platform. And don't forget to make your monetary contributions, and you can send them to my PayPal address at Andy_Tucker_450 at hotmail.com. See you in another video. Ciao.